Welcome to my next solo guide. Let's just jump into it. Some suggested stats: a 90 range, 90 defense, 90 herb, 95 prayer, and 68 summoning. However, being max combat is strongly recommended. You'll also need a frozen key to access Nexus Prison. Some other nice things to have are access to the max guild boss portal, however is not necessary. PVM Hub is being released soon, so hopefully when that gets released this will be all easier. The Reckless Aura is very handy to have as well. Just some information about the boss. Nyx has 200,000 life points, but 280,000 in total, including the minions and when it heals during the Zaros phase. More on that later. Max hit is over 10,000, minions hit points of 10,000 each, and they have a max hit of 850. Let's take a quick look at the arena. As you can see, there is one minion in each corner, with Nyx spawning in the middle. Each of these minions become attackable after you deal 40,000 damage to Nyx during their particular phase, starting in the northeast with Fumus, then moving to the northwest with Umbra, the southwest with Cure, and finishing in the southeast with Glacies. Each of these minions must be killed to progress to the next phase and the next minion. If you are using the Max Guild or PVM Hub, you will be using two presets, one for getting to the boss and the other for fighting the boss. Here are my two presets for high level players. In my first preset you can see I have a full Ancient Ceremonial armor on with a Dark Bow to stall Adren. I have an Overload and either a Nihil, a Beast of Burden, a Tokkul Zo to get my Glaycore buff, an Adrenaline Urn for stalling my Adrenaline, a Frozen Key to get into Nyx, and some logs to increase my max HP with a Bonfire boost. On the right side, I have 6 Arrow Brews, 1 Super Restore, a Ring of Vigor, a rune pouch with vulnerability runes in it, some Araxite arrows, my Luck Ring, expensive spices to increase the healing from blue blubber jellies by 50, my Nox Bow, another Overload in case I forgot to repot before the fight. My Serenic Body is also in my inventory because it has mobile on it, more on that later. Blue blubber jellies for food, 1 replenishment potion, an Adrenaline Urn to stall Adrenaline, and 50 note papers for picking up Sorrow Brew drops. I am also wearing Serenic, an ASR, a Soul's Necklace, but a Reaper is strongly recommended if you do not have an Eldritch Crossbow. My Kiln Cape, Blackstone Arrows, an Armadyl God Book with Charge, Nightmare Gauntlets, Flare Frost Boots. However, all of this can be downgraded to Pernix and is strongly recommended to do so when you are learning for the extra life point boost. If you are using a Nihil, this is all that you will be bringing, but if you want to bring a Bob, that is fine. Fill it with brews and restores. Some things that are nice but not necessary are Blackstone Arrows, Ingenuity of the Humans, an Eldritch Crossbow, Limitless Sigil, an Armor God Book. This can be replaced by a Scrimshaw of Cruelty or a Sarah God Book, the Adrenaline Urn, expensive spices, and some ring switches. The main difference between the low level set and the higher level set is that we bring the robes, the key, the teleports to Trollheim in our inventory. I also have a full armor set, a Royal Crossbow, a Reaper Necklace, a Skill Cape, and a Beast of Burden full of brews and restores. Now let's look at how to get there. First teleport to Trollheim, then run south, then northeast. Climb over the rock, then run south, and then climb over the other rock. Go north towards the boulder and squeeze past it. Surge north towards God Wars and climb down. Look south and then run towards the frozen door. Jump through the frozen door and then climb down the stairs. At this point I'd put on my Ancient Ceremonial, run all the way to the east, and then go through the door, and there you go, you're at Nyx. Before we start the fight, let's have a look at her phases. Before Nyx becomes attackable, in the first phase we have an opportunity to gain some Adrenaline on the first minion with defensive abilities and Adrenaline potions. I will go into depth about the rotation on that later. During phase 1, Nyx has 3 special attacks. The Virus, which poisons you, however can be ignored because the damage it deals is negligible. The Magic Drag, which can be prevented by good use of Freedom and Anticipation. And the You Will Not Escape, where Nyx will charge down one of the middle paths in the arena, dealing a bunch of damage if you get caught in it. Finally, after you've gotten her to 160,000 life points, the minion becomes attackable. For your information, all minions have a hit cap of just over 1,000 damage, so using multi-hitting abilities such as Corruption Shot and Fragmentation Shot are recommended to deal with these swiftly. First, let's look at an example of pre-phase 1. First I enter the encounter, and as soon as I do so, I run to the north a few squares away from where Fumus, the first minion, will spawn, and turn my quick prayers on. I tag the minion, use escape, tag the minion again, use freedom, followed by resonance and preparation. After, I drink an adrenaline potion and equip my Serenic armor. I wait until Nyx says fill my soul with smoke to use anticipation, and then to switch to my longbow. We use the abilities in this order so that for the first 10 seconds of the fight we are immune to the Magic Drag, which should be enough time to get to Fumus in this gear. Here is an example of a good rotation on phase 1 for people who don't have an Eldritch crossbow. Tag the boss and cast Vulnerability just before you cast Shadow Tendrils, quickly followed up by a Snapshot. I then use Corruption Shot and Fragmentation Shot, and while this ability is in the air, I step around the corner one step to force Nyx to walk closer to me. I then use Rapid Fire. After Rapid Fire ends, you should have dealt 40,000 damage. If not, use basic abilities to end the phase. At this point in time, Nyx should be using the There Is No Escape special attack, where she runs down one of the middle paths. Tag Fumus with a basic ability, and as soon as the bleeds come off cooldown, use them on the minion. This should be 2 abilities if you phased her at the end of the Rapid Fire. Now on to phase 2, the Shadow phase. Nyx's basic attacks are now ranged, however at the start of the phase there is a brief moment in time where she only uses special attacks and no autos. During this period you should switch to Soul Split to preserve some food. Afterwards, pray from range. There are 3 main special attacks that Nyx uses during this phase, and they are the Darkness, where Nyx will make the room darker, she will only use the special attack once. The Shadow Trap, where Nyx will place a shadow trap under the player's feet, and after a brief delay, dealing high typeless damage. To avoid this attack, move away 1 square. Finally, the melee distance bleed, which means whenever you are in melee distance with Nyx, after the Darkness special attack, the player is hit for a high typeless damage bleed. To avoid this attack, try to keep some distance between yourself and Nyx by running Nyx or using abilities like Surge and Escape. Here is an example of a phase 2 rotation. Take the boss right away after Fumus dies, switch to Soul Split or range play and run Nyx, stalling her mechanics. While you're running, use Snapshot and Dazing Shot. By this point Nyx should be on her first special attack. Which special attack it is dependent on which special she used last before facing into phase 2. If she used the Charge, then her first special attack will be the Shadow Trap. If she used the Virus last, it will be the Darkness. She will only use the Darkness special once per fight. In this case, she uses Shadow Trap. To avoid this, all I need to do is step away 1 square. After I've stepped away, I use Rapid Fire. While this ability is casting, she will use the Darkness, followed up instantly by another Shadow Trap, so be ready to move again. Use basic abilities to finish off this phase. If at any point, after the Darkness special attack, Nyx is trying to melee distance herself, you will be hit with a high damaging bleed. This can be really dangerous, so try to make some distance between yourself by using Surge or running Nyx. Tag Umbra with both bleeds right away after you've dealt your 40,000 damage. Phase 3, the Dread Blood phase. This is usually the phase that makes or breaks everyone's Nyx kills. Everything in this phase revolves on healing herself. If you know what each mechanic does however, you'll be able to deal with this phase without any problems. Firstly, Nyx's auto attacks now use blood spells, healing herself each time she lands a successful hit. So using Protect from Mage is highly recommended here. Secondly, any bleed attacks on Nyx during this phase will heal Nyx instead of hurting her, so do not use Corruption, Fragmentation or Deadshot at any point during this phase. The Siphon is the first special attack, and during the Siphon, Nyx will heal from any damage that you deal to her, so do not attack her during her Siphon. The first Siphon will begin at the beginning of the phase. She'll also spawn 2 Blood Reavers at this point. And be aware that any HP that the Reavers have left by the time the second Siphon starts, all remaining HP will go to Nyx. If you want to take the Blood phase slow and safe, kill both of the Reavers at this point. However, with my rotation, Nyx will not make it to the second Siphon before we phase her into the minion. Finally, the Blood Sacrifice. Nyx will turn your character red and she'll say, "I demand a sacrifice." She will then deal a total of 10% of your max HP while healing herself 10 times that amount. You can avoid this attack by getting out of a 5x5 radius of her. The easiest way to do this is to surge or escape when she uses the special. Once again, when you deal 40,000 damage to Nyx, Cruor will become attackable and we will be able to move on to the next phase. At the start of the phase, I tagged Nyx with a basic ability and switched to Protect from Mage while running towards Cruor. As Nyx is siphoning, I charge up a snipe right as she is going from the crouch position to the standing position, and then use Onslaught. If you have an enhanced Excalibur, this is where you would use it. As you can see, I am able to phase Nyx before the sacrifice, so I don't need to surge away from it. This is not always the case. If you have more than 6k damage away from phasing Nyx when she turns your character red, use Surge or Escape to avoid the attack. Finish her off with Snipe and other basic abilities. After she hits 80k life points, Cruor will become attackable. Hit him with Corruption Shot and Fragmentation Shot, followed by basics. The Ice phase, another dangerous phase. Nyx is now using ice spells, so not using Protect from Mage will make her auto attacks bind you in place. Nyx's autos also drain prayer each time they successfully land. There are 2 main special attacks during this phase, and depending on what the last special during the Blood phase was dictates the special which will come first during the Ice phase. The Contain This special is where Nyx will try to walk up into melee distance with you, and as she does this, she'll slam the ground. A second later, Ice Pillars will shoot out of the ground. If you are in melee distance with her, you will take large typeless damage, be stunned, and protection prayers turned off. To avoid this, just be further away from Nyx. If you do avoid it, 2 small spikes will appear on the ground and will chase your character for a few seconds. To avoid this again, move further away from Nyx. Nyx will use this attack first if you use the Blood Sacrifice last as you phased her. The Ice Prison. This is probably the most dangerous special during the fight. Nyx will say "Die now" in a prison of ice, and your character will be stunned, protections prayers turned off, unable to eat or attack Nyx. At the end of the prison, you'll be hit for 6,000 to 8,000 typeless damage, which cannot be blocked by resonance. She will also fire an auto attack, which can be, and it is recommended to do so. The special will be first if Nyx's last special during the Blood phase was the Siphon. It will also come 3 auto attacks after each Contain This special. Once again, after you deal 40,000 damage to Nyx, Glacies will become attackable. After Cruor is dead, I instantly tag Nyx with a basic ability. I eat up to full life points. As I do this, I am using Anticipation, and as soon as Nyx becomes attackable, I use Snapshot. Nyx will then use her first special. In this case, I am to be frozen in the Ice Prison. As I am in here, I cast Vulnerability and then Resonance. After I am released from the prison, I use Fragmentation Shot and run Nyx, followed by Corruption Shot, Shadow Tendrils, and then Rapid Fire. This should be enough damage to phase Nyx into the minion. If not, use basic abilities until Glacies becomes attackable. If you get stuck in another Ice Prison, don't panic. Use Freedom, eat up to full, and use Resonance again. Because we stored Nyx's auto attacks by running her briefly, Resonance should be back up to use again. Drop Corruption and Fragmentation shots onto the minion and get ready for the final phase. Phase 5. The hard part is over, but don't sleep on this phase either. There is no more special attacks for the rest of the fight. Nyx will only use auto attacks. At the start of the phase, Nyx will heal back to 80,000 life points and gain a huge armor and damage buff. Her auto attacks can easily hit up to 6,000 damage if you're not protecting from magic, so keep that on. During this phase, Nyx also has a damage cap of 3,000 on herself, so big hitting abilities such as Shadow Tendrils are not recommended. Instead, use Bleeds, Rapid Fire, Snapshot and Deadshot as much as you possibly can. During this phase, Nyx will also switch between Protect Melee, Protect Mage and Soul Split. And because we are using range, this can mostly be ignored. However, when Nyx is using Soul Split, each successful hit she lands on you will heal her, extending the duration of the fight, so it is recommended to run her at this point. Finally, once she reaches 0 HP, she will turn on the Wrath Curse as a final attack on you. To avoid this, just run away from where Nyx died. As soon as Glacius dies, tag Nyx with a basic ability, followed immediately by Rapid Fire. Drop both bleeds on her, then use Dazing Shot and Snapshot. Build back up to 100% adrenaline, switch to your Ring of Vigor and use Deadshot. After this, use basics, prioritizing bleeds until Nyx is dead. You'll have time for one more Rapid Fire and maybe a Snapshot during this time. Run away when Nyx dies. And that's it. Now I'll show you a full kill in full Armadyl, a Royal Crossbow with no perks to prove to you that this rotation works even for people with a budget. Okay, so I begin the fight, run over to Fumus, tag Fumus, and start building adrenaline with my defensives. Afterwards I use my adrenaline potion, use anticipation, run over. Now I do fuck this part up by using a bleed first and then rapid fire rather than using Shadow Tendrils and Snapshot, which is preferable. However, that being said, I still do get this phase done in a reasonable time. There's the first special, move out of the way. And back onto Nyx. At 60,000 life points, I go over to Fumus, tag him with Fragmentation Shot, and then tag him with Corruption Shot right now. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, that first phase was actually pretty bad, yet I still got there in under a minute. Okay, so I tag Nyx with the Snapshot and then Rapid Fire while he's doing his darkness, step out of the way, and then use basic abilities until he's phased. As you can see there, he came into melee distance with me and he started using the bleed on me, so I surged away, forced some distance between us. Drop double bleeds on the minion and tag Nyx. So this is where people have the most trouble. I'll just prove to you that you don't need any good gear to no siphon it. Alright, snipe, onslaught. Don't even have an enhanced Excalibur. Alright, there's the sacrifice, so I run away from it. Use basic abilities. There you go, there's the phase. There's Krura attackable. Drop double bleeds on him. Nyx will say siphon. Tag Nyx. If I stop missing. Use anticipation, snapshot. And then corruption shot if you have time. Get back on him, turn my prayer back on if I want to. Yeah, there we go. Double bleeds. Use rapid fire.
Run away from the contain. I'm going to use snapshot again. Back to basic abilities. Use shadow tendrils. Right, so once again I'm in the prison. Just tank it, eat up to full, use freedom. Make sure that if you know that prison's coming, just eat up to full. Back on the minion, drop your bleeds. I like running Nyx around at this point so that it stalls her ability rotations. Cool, and then attack Nyx again. Keep prayer on. This is the final phase and she can hit really hard with her basic attacks. Use rapid fire straight away. Bleed. Another bleed. No dazing shot. And then use I used Death Swiftness here. I accidentally moved my abilities around, I think. Right, so yeah, I'm just going to stand in the Death Swiftness. Use rapid fire again. Just make sure that my HP is high, taking out food from the BOB whenever I need to. Running Nyx around, make sure that she doesn't, so we're stalling attacks. And then when she dies, keeping a safe distance from her so she doesn't hit you with that. Getting some Onyx Bolts E, nice kill. See, even though that was a scuffed kill, we still managed to get it alright. Now let's watch a kill with tier 90 weapons where I don't make too many mistakes. So as I'm entering the prison, I run over to Fumus, tag him, escape, resonance, preparation, use my adrenaline potion and put on my armor. Alright, put on my Nox bow, cast vulnerability and shadow tendrils at the same time, snapshot, double bleed, rapid fire. And that should be enough damage, and it is enough damage to get me to the minion. Right, I switch my arrows here, and then start attacking Fumus. Double bleed Fumus, and instantly tag Nyx when she's attackable. Snapshot, dazing shot, rapid fire. That almost puts her down to enough HP. I just use one more ability. Switch my prayers to protect range. Double bleed the minion. As you can see, I was briefly in melee distance. Got bleed a little bit, just walked away. Change to protect mage. Charge a snipe when she starts to stand. Onslaught. After we finish the onslaught, Kuro is now attackable, double bleed him. Alright, tag Nyx, use anticipation, snapshot. Use vulnerability and resonance, however she doesn't attack me this time so I don't get a res. Fragmentation shot, corruption shot, shadow tendrils, and rapid fire. Usually this is where I surge back over to the minion. Attacker, double bleed. And then back on Nyx for the final phase. Rapid fire straight away. Followed by a fragmentation shot, corruption shot, turn on my rig and vigor, and dead shot. Then use my bleeds again. I have enough time for one more rapid fire. At this point I put on my Luck of the Dwarf so I get that extra luck. Run away from Nyx. And there's the kill. Thanks for watching my Nyx solo guide for medium and high levels. I'll be following this video up with an outer edge crossbow rotation video in the near future, achieving kill speeds of 2 minutes and 10 seconds. If you want, you can come watch me live on Twitch at ThugsBunny. I'll have a link in the description. Anyway, that's all for now. See ya.